loving the life I live. I am finding ways to connect with deep practice in lighter and more contained ways. There is a clarity here. We commune with what marks time and focused ways of moving. Where do you go with your love? How do you create more or less of something you continue to want to be with in an easy way? My blanket of time forms some kind of soft varietal I want and need to accommodate for lost times. What pleasure do you do to match your waking matters with big deals of dated materials? You wonder if the space of love comes crashing down upon your heads. The best of better speaks your name, and you shelter your tenor in a place of plastic wrap for a longer shelf life. What do you measure your home with and about? What long ways did you find yourself thirsty for something along the lines of yesterday's spilled milk? Come, write your way home and discover the soft shores of your love gone by and relax the tender spaces of discovered, unlived heart for home. You pleasure path your comforts and contain the ego from destruction. It may unwind for forward thinking and breathing into the mix of shame that is your own love. Try for tender wiles and ways to break silence upon the broken stones. You consider yourself a home for lost times and ways to share words you long to hear and breathe forward. What are your messages of watered down ways? And don't you feel good about distillation? Yes, both are used for different reasons at different times. You are an alchemist, a witch, a sorceress. You know this to your bones, and the rest falls away into pleasure. I have a harder time with the day-to-day tasks. This is an awareness that I have. Something about the way you come into connection with your shared wisdom feels like it scrambles your neural pathways, and then you must rest and recover from your productivity. We must find clearer boundaries here. We love to meet others interrelationally. Be aware of enmeshed energetics and untangle yourself from what feels like too much. The creative ways you counsel yourself home meet something about the past in new and considered ways. Be the beacon of your own body and walk the path between times. You are waking up. Holy shift. The amount you're processing right now is a lot. Be with yourself here and gain the ground you need to survive and thrive. We long to play, to create safe space to play, to explore. There are cycles of creativity. Sometimes we need more expansion, and sometimes we long for more retraction, grounding, and stabilization. I want more stability right now. I am really turned on and oriented from experiences that feel safe, contained, and intentional. I really relish in the spark of evolution that matches my pathway to providing safety, ease, and enjoyment in my life. I require more soft moments, clear times, easy energies, and calm currents. What would feel good right now? A walk outside, a nap on the floor, a warm mug of tea and some cake. Less is more. An easy day pre-evening party, laying in the grass, doing a yin yoga video, meditation, guided, creating clear boundaries with my work and what I share, being directional with my time and energy, comforting the part of me that wants more. And now a little just for and about pages in process. I am finding more regulated and regulating ways to connect with myself and these pages in process. Coming into connection with greater clarity around how I wish to relate with my practice as having different layers of privacy. My heart is clear, how it feels more grounded and safe when I build metaphoric firewalls around it. Protection feels so satiating. What I feel more and more clear about is having a conscious awareness, more compassionate and deconditioned form of what it is I felt as a kind of gaslighting toxic positivity before. I feel more clarity around personal connection to myself, my craft, and my life. I love to share more readily from spaces I've shared before in more oriented and orienting ways. You walk yourself back from the beach and really trust that the pacing you need to work at will serve and support you, and those who feel drawn to your work and space holding come more deeply into connection with the comfort of home. You know this. You've seen what will arise upon the way, the visions. Trust them. Know yourself. Know that each day you choose to follow the easier path, you open more free flow and fluid connection into your life for a kind of living that you long to trust in steady love. Hello there, pages and process. We are back. I am back with you for another day connecting on the YouTube. The YouTube, it's an interesting place, this land, and I'm finding ways that maybe it can be a sustainable way for me to keep coming into connection with you. I have been recording a little bit, and I've been going through a lot of challenging times, personal challenging times, family challenging times. What I've been finding is that while the recording is always beneficial for me, the actual editing and sharing isn't always conducive to my needs. And I'm finding that what I've really been wanting and desiring to build into my practice is consistency, not with my practice, but consistency with the sharing part of the practice, the making and the sharing. And the making feels or the recording feels good, but the editing and the putting it out there part is kind of like I can feel that my relationship to it needs to shift and change so that I can feel less afraid of the repercussions of sharing, which maybe some of you feel and understand the weight of what it means to speak as someone who shares in ways that are new to them and perhaps new to some people who are connecting with their work. Anyways, I thought I'd touch base with you about the parts of my practice that I really have been enjoying lately. I have been really liking the Patreon portion of my practice. I have three patrons now over on Patreon, which I'm so excited about in my $5 tier, Journaling Home. And I've started doing a weekly word share. So this is a place where I invite those of you who would like to come into my little journaling home to have a little space every week. It's a post that's designed to catch and capture anything that you would like to share into a space that is designed to be safe and inclusive and compassionate between those of us who are on similar journeys. And so far, I have had some really beautiful entries from one of my former students that has been just really touching to hear her words. So if you're out there, you know who you are. I love you. And then intermittently, I think the building of the courage for others to also show up and share. When I first started, there was an invitation as well to always use the comments, but it was focused a little bit more on my practice and sharing pieces from my practice that maybe felt like they wanted to be in a deeper container. Hold for sound. Okay, we're back. I don't remember what I was saying. I probably should have taken a note. Basically, what I'm coming into connection with these days is really wanting to build into the embodiment and the belonging of the person I want to feel most at home with in myself. Part of that is someone who has the capacity to show up in a regular ritualized way and connect with others, where I feel like I'm emotionally available, not only for myself, but for others as well. And it's not that I haven't been that, I absolutely have, but it's come at an expense of self betrayal. So, this is my question, I suppose, maybe for you, maybe for me as well. When we are emotionally available, but we are compromising some of our own sense of inner security, safety orienting in order to be available to others, how much are we actually emotionally available? Are we actually compartmentalizing a part of ourselves that honestly doesn't want to be in that connection? Is that really emotionally available, or is that just self betrayal? I've been working to repattern that because this project, Pages in Process, does seem to attract not all women, but mostly feminine identifying individuals or aspects even of human bodies, regardless of your identity for you in your life, right? That there is this softer part and piece of ourselves, and also potentially a deeper layer of protective, intense, really clear, grounded aspect of ourselves, both of which I find can be challenging in the society that we have, to really find ways that feel both good to experience and express and are sustainable for our own lives, because we're expected to put ourselves aside and show up to a task where it's anticipated. And I'm in the United States, there's this pull yourself up by the bootstraps mentality that even if that doesn't really align to our core values and how we try to orient in our lives, that's still very much like an unconscious collective paradigm that we bump up into over and over, and perhaps even have layers in our personal archaeology of psyche that are still going to be functioning on those sort of contracts. I really am, for myself, wanting to rewrite that narrative and invite others, perhaps like you, who are also rewriting that narrative for themselves or their family, their friends, their communities, in the way in which they show up and model through their behaviors, their actions, their healing modalities, how there can really truly be another way. Learning how to do this in a way where I'm inviting the potentiality of having a sustainable income stream from the way in which I'm sharing has brought up a lot of insecurity and second guessing myself. When we identify as healers or as someone who wants the best for everybody, it can be really challenging to find the space of how we engage in commerce or trade for time and resources. And especially when we are in something like a healing energy, then sometimes the space we work on feels so universal, and it's us getting out of the way and allowing the space holding to be what serves the healing process. And then it's hard to, how do you assign a monetary value to that? How do you connect to what feels right, not only for you and the way you're showing up, but for the person or people that you are offering your offerings to? One thing that I've found, for those of you who are also wanting to build into more of like an entrepreneurial space, or if that word doesn't work for you, embodied belonging in business basics or tactics or strategy or connection or holding, that there are ways we can work with structure and form of what we're creating and how we're creating in order to hold us inside of it in a way that feels good. We get to be held by it as we are also potentially holding others within the container as well. A lot of my deep healing has been around the recognition that I don't have to be the only one that sees my self-worth. Other people can actually see it too. You know, there's a lot of healing sayings about like you have to see yourself as worthy before others can see you that way. And I also find that sometimes friends and loved ones and even people who are maybe not as far along a path of discovery or education or journeying as you are, they might be able to see something in you that you can't see in yourself yet. It's said that human beings are relational creatures. We really need the relationship between one another. I really have wanted to find ways to value my relationship to who it is that I'm speaking to you, as I'm speaking to you, as opposed to this fear and terror of the great wide wash of what social media is and represents, and who could see and who probably is also watching, that might not be the best match for my needs of safety and orienting. You know, there's a lot of trolls out there, and building patterns of protection for ourselves in both our communication strategy as well as practices to employ when
the inevitable happens when you get a troll, knowing that, okay, well, my path to that is to either delete or block, shower rainbow kindness at them, and let that be the case. Different people handle it different ways. I don't want to be someone who, I don't want to either feel like I have to attack back or crawl into a cave of like recovery. And that's not only online with the sharing, but that's also just interrelational dynamics out in the world. As a creative in recovery, I've wanted to build more resilience into what I desire to bring forward into the world, to actually meet myself and my community in the way I want to be met and in the way I hope that you'd like to be met too. With that said, I think this is long enough for this week's video. I'm aiming to, I want my nervous system to trust me enough to create a video a week, and I need to work as slow in my pacing with my nervous system as I need to in order to get it to actually trust me to do that and follow through in a sustainable way. That's the hope, that's the goal, that's the intention. At some point, you might feel me more steady here online sharing with you, and hopefully that'll be sooner than later. And I wish you all the best wherever you are. And if you'd like to join me over on Patreon, I've opened up a couple new tiers where we get to connect over Zoom. And there are 3 tiers to choose from. So come on over and take a peek. I'll leave the link in the description below. Bye.